awesome. So again, thank you for jumping in this call.
You're very welcome.
And, yeah, definitely want to touch base on you on the global setting search. But I mostly wanted to connect on your perspective and your experience conducting or with the settings research in the past. Because I'm not sure if you're familiar with this initiative that we have right now for settings. Yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that, and I was wondering how you got to be kind of the lead of it. Were you just personally interested, or are there things in your area that might be like aligned with it a lot? It's just like, I was like, that's cool. She's doing all this work for this area.
I just open an issue and I say, I'm the DRI. That was it. But also because settings up until this point, or there's some conversations going on, but up to this point, there's no real owner. So it's even in the group not owned, differently from navigation, and I'm not sure which one was the other one that was assigned to a stage group recently. But we are working on some group level settings in release management. So I want to use that as an opportunity to work on settings, or to at least bring some direction. But I think that's, and I think you will agree that that's a bigger problem that needs involvement from other designers and from research. So that's why I'm having these conversations with different designers from different stage groups, so that I can collect information, more updated information on what their vision is for settings, what they are right now, what their previous struggles of designers working with settings, to try to find some common ground there. And then I hope in the future we can assign or have more DRIs for that, because it's a big thing, right? Settings, it's everywhere. So that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Can you hear me well?
Mm-hmm.
Because for some reason I think my internet might be weird, but as long as you can hear me, okay, that's weird.
Sometimes you freeze, but yeah, now it looks stable. Before it was a little bit.
Okay, awesome. Well, I personally think this is exciting because just from a lot of the work with the system usability scale, and also earlier work that I was doing with GitLab that has become unowned now. Yeah, navigation, settings, things like that, they've been kind of long time coming issues. And so there are a lot of different areas. And I'm not sure if you saw the issue that I have with like actionable insights. Let me paste it into this agenda. But I do think, where did it go? Okay, sorry. I do think this issue categorizes basically the different points that I think we need to address in some way. And so things like the information architecture, so the actual naming of the settings and how we're categorizing them, can still be improved, but also the layout of the pages. We've received feedback around kind of like the padding of the pages, or how certain settings aren't visible above the folds. You might not even know to look below for certain things. That's mainly relevant for the general page, I'd say, because if you go on to project settings general and you're not really sure what exists in that category, you might miss out on something that's like just lower on the page because it's auto expanded or things like that. So I think this page is kind of like my landing page with thoughts of where we can go. Yeah, but
And I'm just scanning the content, and I'm excited that the problems are so similar to what I've been listening from other designers. Excited might not be the correct word.
yeah, but
But yeah. And so let's just jump into the search, because I see that you have like some two issues open here. And I just had a conversation with Mike Nichols from Create, and we were discussing searchable settings and in context with the features and how that could give more visibility to, you know, to the functionality. And he even showed me some examples. But what can you share about settings and search?
Yeah.
Vision?
So I would say what I can share is that the feedback that I was seeing in the system usability scale and a previous survey was that for the left side navigation bar, so the whole thing, people were thinking, I have so many items everywhere, and yes, if you improve the organization of them, it will make it easier to find it, but sometimes I might just want to even just quickly search for it
Mhm.
and be able to pull it out. So that's a sentiment that exists for navigation in general, but I did see it specifically for settings too, because it's basically like the left side navigation problem multiplied because now it's under another layer
Yeah.
of navigation. And so some people think the solution is to search for settings kind of like in the context of those setting pages. So I don't know, kind of similar to the settings explorer that we have on our Macs, I guess, like that sort of thing where you can search for something and then a spotlight will like make
Yeah.
it pop up. That sort of approach. And then some other people have suggested leveraging the existing global search. So instead of creating, I guess, a whole new pattern for that, just leveraging our global search and including settings in the, I guess, the potential things you can search for. Um, I think that's the approach that global search is now considering, just from the issue I saw this morning. So it seems like that might be a bridge in the gap while we work on the improvements to the actual settings pages and layouts. Um, but that using that existing search to quickly get to a setting might be one, bridging the gap, but also powerful in itself to make things faster for people. So those are my current thoughts on search and settings.
I think that comes in a very good moment because I know Sun Jun, she's from Geo and she's working on redesigning this global search, not how you search or anything like that, but the results.
Mm.
And she, let me see if I can find this issue. Da, 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 I think this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, the global. I think I saw that issue come through, and the global search is interesting because when you can get to that page that she's thinking of redesigning, or if you look for something like a project, it might take you just directly to the project. Like sometimes you don't see that page.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. So I'm not sure if you would have a list of settings kind of added to that page that's filtered by issues, merge requests, and everything, or if you would just take someone directly to the setting once they click on it. I
Yeah.
don't know. But those are both two considerations for the global search, like how the
Mhm.
results would be.
Because I think it's a little bit like what the handbook search works today, right? Because if you just hit enter, you get to that pop-up with all the results. But if you just
Yeah.
hit the first result on a drop-down, you go directly to that page. I think that's the same
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's
interpretation.
true.
Yeah, yeah. So if you look at this issue, I think this is the just initial one. If you go to the aggregates updating issues in advanced search, um, I know that she's working only on UI polish. So it's really like, aligning buttons and changing
Mm.
the font sizes, etc., to make it look a little bit more aligned with Yamas, but also the rest of the product, because right now the page is not really used by a lot of people.
Yeah.
So on that note, I was wondering if you got any feedback from people saying that they don't use our search because the search doesn't give them some specific abilities. Because that's what I heard from Tunjun, that not a lot of people use the search. They go to Google and they find what they need to find there. So do you hear anything in that sense?
Yes, I have, and I think I have a doc out there. Basically, I have a collection of docs that are just a bunch of feedback, and there's a doc out there with search feedback that I'm gonna look for right now. But yeah, I've heard this in the context of docs and in the product. I think things have improved over time for global search in GitLab. At least I just tried it today, and I'm like, I think this is a bit snappier than I remember. That's subjective, but I think it has improved over time. But that was a common thing that people were saying in the past, and I know I have a doc there somewhere, and I'll find it and link it. But yeah, so that used to be kind of a concern where it's like it's difficult to navigate, but also the search isn't so great. So then it's like I guess Google will fill in the gaps for me for some things. But then you have other cases where some items are just not added to or like possible to access through search.
Yeah.
So like those were the main issues that I saw.
Like
Yep.
setting. Yeah.
Okay, so I found this doc. I will put it under here.
Awesome.
I'm not sure. I don't remember how it was organized, but this I remember someone asking me to find feedback related to search, so then I just pulled together a bunch of things related to search
Yep.
and navigation.
That's awesome. And this is from the user interviews that you did recently, right?
This doc?
Yeah.
No, so this doc is like a combination of like feedback from different sources. So like the SAS, interviews, other usability tests, it's just kind of like all of it all in one. This is the this is something I like to do. I don't know if it's something other people like to do, but there's a lot of random information in our issue tracker and our different studies that I'll just pull into a doc like this, and I think it could be helpful. So if you ever are collecting things, I would suggest to do that.
Can you tell me a little bit more about information architecture and what you've heard from users now and also in the past? Because you did conduct some research, right, on settings, or was that just a request? I'm not exactly sure. But anyways, yeah.
So from what I know, and I think I have it all in my head, I do remember a survey about project and admin settings, which was kind of along the lines of trying to get a sense of what settings people were using most commonly and what feedback they had and how they would improve the layout. Um, the main concern there was understanding how to present the content on the pages, because we had lots of content and it's like, do we expand it all? Do we collapse it all? Do we do partial, like expand the most important things at the top and collapse everything else? That was like the premise of that survey. But other than that, I'm not sure that we have done other studies. I know Marcel once had a research issue open around the placement of settings. So that question was whether settings should all exist under that, that little nav item, or whether they should be more out in context more often. So if I'm on the milestones page and I need to do something that I need to change something about milestones, should I be able to access that setting right on that page, or do I need to go find, the milestone settings in the whole nav item? That was an issue that Marcel had open that we didn't do. I'm not sure if that's the one you're thinking about. And I know Monitor, I think Monitor, the group Monitor, has an issue around improving the information architecture of some of their settings or something like that.
Mhm.
But I don't think we've done a large coordinated effort for settings. We've done that for the nav bar in the past, but I mean, not the side nav in the past, but we haven't done it for settings.
And then in the survey that you worked on some time ago to understand how to present the settings in the UI, did you or like did we as a as a team as a company do we actually apply some of these insights and the findings back into the product, or do we see those reflected today in what we have?
Right. So I do think this one I can't remember. I can't remember if it was implemented and then the survey kind of was to confirm or if it influenced.
Okay.
But one way or another, the pattern of expanding some but collapsing all, the others, I guess, expanding the most common but collapsing the least important, I guess that concept, that one, I can't remember if it resulted from the survey or if it was there before, but that one I think was the one that people were supporting the most. That option of kind of having it in between. Because if it's all collapsed, you're kind of having to click through and see everything if the descriptions aren't very accurate. But if it's all expanded, then everything is just like all down the page and it's extremely long.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not sure if we came to a conclusion there. I would have to read it again. It was like 2 years ago. But yeah, there were basically pros and cons on both sides, and some people were like, the description of the setting is even more important there too, because if it's all collapsed and I have to actually go into it to see what I'd find in there, then I'm doing even more processing. So I remember that we updated the description of certain settings after this survey in particular. That's something
Very interesting. It's also something that I've been hearing from other designers that, of course, search would make everyone's lives easier if you could just quickly go to the global search and say, I don't know, CI/CD settings or variables, and then you get variables settings as an option. But I've been hearing from other designers that sometimes the copy or sometimes what we put out there in the settings don't really explain what you're going to do in the page.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot of, I wouldn't say that it's a lack of standard, but sometimes I feel like the way we communicate is too technical and that you need to know ahead of time what you're going to do with that option, right? That's my personal experience with some settings in the product. But did you hear anything or do you remember anything related to, I don't know, just the voice and tone, the copy of the settings in context with the research?
So I don't remember anything particular for those things. It might have been in there, but I can't think of anything that comes to mind.
I investigate it because we have so many insights from it.
Yeah.
I have it, yeah.
That is the thing. There are so many, and just by looking at the page, it seemed like I don't think we made a conclusion in terms of which one is better, all expanded, all collapsed. But the leading choice in that survey was most settings collapsed, but the frequently used ones expanded. And so I believe what we were supposed to do is follow up by testing that proposal. Testing a design with the proposal to expand the frequently used ones and collapse the rest, and then also improve the or create the filtering for settings pages. So I guess the search, and that would cover most of the concerns that respondents were having. But I don't think we did that. So we were we landed somewhere in between, and we didn't continue that work. So I think that's what happened.
Good opportunity for us to identify these jobs to be done because we have so many, right, related to settings, and then that's what I did this in release management, where we were in a way we had so much information from users because we conducted so many customer interviews that doing a whole round of validation just to confirm what we already knew was kind of like,
Yeah,
too much
exactly.
work, that's overwork. So that's one of the things I was thinking today, kind of trying to figure out or find this insight that you already have, that Marcel might have, that other designers found in different or related research, to kind of back up these big themes that we have around settings, like usability, the placement, the ability to search, the information architecture, and then from that, see where we move, in which direction we would move towards.
Yeah, yeah. I would say the most feedback that I've received was from that survey, and then the system usability scale survey feedback. So that's most of the information that I have to go on. But I would say it's consistent with a lot of the navigation feedback. So there is a lot in there that can be kind of worked on rather than starting from the point A of do we have an issue with settings. It's more
Yeah.
like we know there are issues with settings. Perhaps it's understanding which ones are most severe and which ones should be addressed first, or which ones would have the most impact. But yeah, that's how I see it at this stage.
But, it's very good to hear that in a way, because now that I have access to, or at least you pointing me to these issues, I can go ahead and try to um, maybe relate them to some of the items, because we have a lot of feature requests, like internal feature requests for settings, and I think a lot of these issues, they would be solved with, I don't know, improving the navigation and then having a conversation about settings,
Yeah.
and similar to what we did for the UI polish a couple of months ago. We had that OPR to improve the overall look and feel of the product. My gut feeling and my proposal here is as well as that we just find which are these UI polish UX that just the visual enhancements that we could do, and tackle them, because I think there's a lot that we can do to move towards this direction of, well, once we agree, um, what is
Right.
the needs to be addressed first, or at least we would have some things already tackled.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And looking through some of the settings right now, because I'm trying to think of this survey and how it landed, because I know we didn't decide to make that change. And so I was looking through the settings, and yeah, general, I think settings project general, and it might be the same for groups, is the only one that has one setting expanded and the rest collapsed, but all the other settings don't follow that pattern.
This is so interesting because I actually have a bug. I found a bug that someone says that there is a bug in the setting general. It's expanded because all other pages should be,
Yeah, the thing
collapsed, but
is,
this one is expanded.
yeah, the thing is, I'm not sure if it's a bug. I think it may have been a design improvement that was made before the survey happened, and then it wasn't applied to everything else. But that's my theory. It could also be a bug. Um,
No, but
but
it makes sense from what you were saying that perhaps this was already some implementation or some small effort to make the first one expanded, because then you can already, we assume that what is the first one in general? Is it
yeah, it's naming topics in Avatar. So this is another thing. Um, the compliance framework was like added to this, I think, at some point. Maybe in the past. Well, time has passed by really fast. It might be. I think it was this year that this compliance framework part was added to general, and so it's just like a really big, expanded setting that isn't one. It's multiple different things happening at once, and then everything else is buried beneath it. Especially uh, the setting that you use to turn off different features in the left side nav, that's buried beneath this one. And that one is like not, it says project features, enable, disable project features, but a lot of people don't even know that setting exists, even though it's like right there.
Yeah.
But,
No.
but yeah, so that's interesting. I had totally forgotten like whether this was applied to everything else, but no, it's just settings general.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Now, having a little bit more of background, I can go back to that issue and say, this is not a bug.
Yeah, so
Or at least try to figure
it,
out.
it kind of yeah, there have you been able to find the settings feedback in Dovetail? 'Cause I think
Um, let's see.
because I can link that here too. Although it's not always the easiest to follow in Dovetail, but you can click on them and go to the source, uh, like to see the full comment, I guess. But I'll provide a link to that there. But so sus feedback, and then this project slash admin survey feedback. I do think there was a lot of interesting things we learned in both of those things. But yeah, we hadn't actioned them at the time.
It's awesome that we have them. So it's already uh, halfway done, I guess, if you, because the research. Um,
Yeah, it's like it just hasn't been a fully coordinated enough effort, I guess. It's
yeah,
moving the needle, but now that you're making this effort, then it'll be outlined and like made into phases that we can improve.
love that. We had a chance to catch up because I feel like I'm gonna have a very interesting week, next week.
Yeah,
Looking at
yeah,
the items, yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. And feel free to ask any questions because in Dovetail, it's like a stream of consciousness of different user quotes, but the project admin survey is more structured and you'll be able to follow a story more. But in the sus, it's kind of like random feedback because it's just, we'll get pages of, comments from people and then you pull out the ones that are related to settings. But um, the other one is more structured and tells a story.
I'm gonna look into those and I'll ping you if I have any questions.
Sure.
Um, yeah, yeah, that's it. Mhm.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited about this, and especially now that I just saw that global search issue that the team is discussing. So
I'm gonna
I think
catch up
it's
with it. I saw that this is under enablement, yeah?
yeah,
Have to see who's the designer of enablement so I can talk to them, figure out.
yeah. I do think
Yeah.
I think that's Sunjung. I think
So it's Sanju?
I think so. Maybe
I'll figure
I
out.
know she's in Geo, but
Yeah,
she is the one who created the issue around global search.
I mean,
So
that is good because we are pair designers. So next week I
oh,
have one to figure out, to have a conversation.
awesome. Well, this was great. I'm excited. Feel free to bounce off ideas at any point.
I'm going to try to organize some things and then I'll ping you to see if my ideas make sense with the research you already have in place.
Sure. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice
Okay.
weekend.
You too. Bye.